5 years ago, I was earning pretty solid money, yet I somehow still felt broke all the time. My closet was packed with clothes I barely touched. My garage was crammed with gear I'd used maybe once or twice. And my bank balance seemed to empty out faster than I could build it back up, even though I made more than a lot of people around me. I had fallen into the same trap that catches millions of people every year. The trap is thinking income creates wealth, when in reality, the opposite is much closer to the truth. What you keep matters far more than what you earn, and what you keep is shaped almost entirely by how you think about possessions. The average American home has more than 300,000 items. 300,000. That is not an exaggeration. And here is the hard truth nobody likes to say out loud. Most of those things were bought with money that could have been invested, quietly compounding in the background, creating real wealth instead of sitting in closets, garages, and storage units gathering dust while costing even more money to store. Minimalism is not about deprivation, owning nothing, or turning into some kind of monk who rejects all material things. It is about intention. It means making sure everything you own, everything you spend on, and everything you give your attention to actually improves your life, instead of quietly draining your money, your time, and your mental bandwidth. Over the last 5 years, I've built 50 rules that completely changed my relationship with money, possessions, and the way I use both. These are not ideas I picked up in some random book. They are principles I tested in my own life, adjusted when they fell short, and refined until they turned into automatic behaviors that build wealth without needing constant self-control. You do not need all 50 at once. Pick 5 or 10 that really hit home for you and actually put them into practice. That alone will move you ahead of 90% of people who consume content like this and never do anything with it. Let's begin with the rules that changed everything. Rule number 1 is the 2-day rule, and it applies to any habit you are trying to build, especially money habits. The idea is simple: never miss twice. If you are trying to track your spending every day, missing one day is fine. Life happens. But do not let one missed day turn into 2, then 3, then a month of not tracking anything. The same goes for investing, budgeting, checking accounts, or whatever money behavior you are trying to lock in. Missing once is human. Missing twice is the start of quitting. Rule number 2 is the nightly reset. Every night before bed, spend 5 minutes putting your physical space back together. Load the dishes. Put things back where they belong. Clear off surfaces. It sounds unrelated to money until you realize messy spaces create messy minds, and messy minds make impulsive money decisions. When you wake up to chaos, you start the day stressed, and stressed people spend money trying to feel better. A 5-minute reset stops that cycle before it gets going. Rule number 3 is the 80-20 inventory. Research keeps showing that people use around 20% of what they own 80% of the time. The other 80% just sits there, representing money that has already been spent and will never come back. Walk through your home with that lens. Figure out the 20% you actually use on a regular basis. Everything else is a candidate to leave, and a lesson in what not to buy again later. Every item you sell or donate is proof of an old money mistake you can learn from. Rule number 4 is the 20-20 rule for decluttering decisions. If you can replace something for less than $20 in less than 20 minutes, let it go. Stop hanging on to backup items and just-in-case purchases you might maybe need someday. The mental cost of storing, sorting, and thinking about all that stuff is way higher than the replacement cost. This rule makes decluttering fast instead of emotionally exhausting. Rule number 5 is the donation box system. Keep a box somewhere in your house all the time. As you move through daily life and notice things you no longer use or need, drop them into the box right away instead of putting them back. Once a month, donate the box without reopening it. That creates a steady stream of stuff leaving your home, which becomes a steady reminder of past spending mistakes, which leads to fewer future spending mistakes. Rule number 6 is spending on experiences instead of stuff. Research from Cornell University and other schools consistently shows that experiences create more lasting happiness than material purchases. The excitement of buying a new thing fades fast once you get used to having it. That is called hedonic adaptation. But memories from experiences often grow more valuable over time because you remember them fondly and forget the little hassles. Shift your discretionary spending toward travel, learning, relationships, and activities instead of objects. Rule number 7 is the home rule. Everything you own should have a designated place where it belongs. When things do not have homes, they end up on counters, floors, tables, and chairs. Visual clutter turns into mental clutter. Mental clutter creates decision fatigue. Decision fatigue leads to poor money choices. That chain sounds indirect until you realize how many impulse purchases happen because somebody was mentally fried from dealing with chaos all day. Rule number 8 is automation over willpower. Automate every financial behavior that should happen regularly. Bills, investment contributions, savings transfers, subscription management. Willpower is limited and gets drained over the course of the day. Every money decision you have to make is another chance for something to go wrong when you are tired, stressed, or emotional. Automation removes the chance of failure by removing the decision itself. Rule number 9 is feeling opportunity cost, not just understanding it in theory. Every time you say yes to spending money on something, you are saying no to everything else that money could have become. That $60 dinner is not just $60. It is also the $150 that same money could have become over 20 years if invested. It is the freedom that comes with a bigger cushion. It is the extra options that come with more resources. Train yourself to see both sides of every spending choice, the visible purchase and the invisible opportunity cost. Rule number 10 is scheduled unavailability. Block out specific times when you are completely unreachable. No phone, no notifications, no interruptions. During that time, you can do deep work, think clearly, or simply exist without input. This matters financially because most impulsive spending happens when we are distracted, bored, or looking for stimulation. Planned focus time cuts down the random browsing that turns into random buying. Rule number 11 is single tasking for everything, including money decisions. Research from Stanford and other institutions shows multitasking can reduce cognitive performance by up to 40%. When you try to manage your finances while juggling 3 other things, you make worse decisions. Set aside dedicated time for financial tasks, reviewing accounts, planning purchases, evaluating investments, and do nothing else while you are doing it. Rule number 12 is shaping your environment to reduce decision fatigue. We make thousands of decisions every day, and each one drains a little bit of mental energy. By evening, we often make worse choices simply because we are worn out from deciding all day. Cut down on trivial decisions whenever you can. Wear similar outfits. Eat similar meals. Stick to similar routines. Save your decision-making energy for choices that actually matter, like where your money should go. Rule number 13 is recognizing and beating sunk cost bias. Just because you paid for something does not mean you need to keep using it, wearing it, or storing it. That money is already gone, no matter what you do next. Holding on to things you do not use just because you bought them adds new costs on top of the original loss. Storage space, mental clutter, visual clutter. Let things go based on the value they have in your life now, not on what they cost in the past. Rule number 14 is vote stacking for financial identity. Every time you make a smart money decision, no matter how small, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Skip the impulse purchase. One vote for being financially disciplined. Invest instead of spending. One vote for being a wealth builder. Check your budget before buying. One vote for being intentional with money. Stack enough of those tiny wins, and one day you look back and realize you became the kind of person who is naturally good with money. Not because of brute force, but because of identity. Rule number 15 is systematically figuring out what actually makes you happy. Most people spend money in the same categories they always have. Not because those purchases create real satisfaction, but because it is familiar. Intentionally test different approaches to entertainment, food, travel, clothing, and experiences. Pay attention to what genuinely made you happy versus what you assumed would make you happy. Use that information to redirect future spending toward higher return investments in your own well-being. Rule number 16 is the periodic Great Reset. Every few months, review your entire financial and physical life. Cancel subscriptions you are not using. Sell or donate possessions that built up. Review your spending categories and ask whether they still line up with your priorities. Try a no-spend month where you buy nothing except absolute necessities. These resets keep you from drifting slowly into the kind of financial mediocrity most people settle into. Rule number 17 is treating social media like a financial threat. Social platforms are specifically built to show you content that triggers spending. Influencers selling products, ads targeted from your browsing history, friends showing off purchases that spark envy and comparison. Limit your exposure on purpose. Every minute you spend scrolling is a minute you are exposed to sophisticated psychological pressure designed to separate you from your money. Rule number 18 is scheduled and limited screen time. Beyond social media specifically, screens in general make spending easier. Online shopping has almost no friction. Entertainment subscriptions pile up. Digital purchases feel less real than physical ones. Set specific times when screens are allowed and specific times when they are not. The default should be off, with exceptions, instead of on with the occasional break. Rule number 19 is replacing passive consumption with active creation. Watching TV, scrolling social media, and playing video games cost money directly through subscriptions and equipment. But they also cost money indirectly by reinforcing a consumption mindset. Active pursuits, building things, exercising, learning skills, making art. Build an identity around producing instead of consuming. Producers build wealth. Consumers drain it. Rule number 20 is managing attention as carefully as you manage money. Attention may actually be more valuable than money because it is completely finite. You can always earn more money, but you can never get more time or attention. Every hour you spend consuming content or browsing products is an hour you are not spending on things that build wealth, health, or relationships. Protect your attention fiercely. Direct it intentionally. Treat it like the scarce resource it really is. Rule number 21 is the 90% rule for all decisions. If something is not a 90% yes, if it is not a heck yes, then it is a no. This applies to purchases, commitments, opportunities, relationships, all of it. Mediocre choices crowd out excellent ones. By saying no to anything that is not clearly great, you create room for the things that actually deserve your money and attention. Rule number 22 is assuming popular choices are probably wrong for you. Most Americans carry credit card debt. Most Americans are overweight. Most Americans say they are stressed about money. Most Americans have less than $1,000 in emergency savings. If you follow the default path most people follow, you will end up where most people end up. Intentionally question mainstream assumptions about what you should buy, how you should spend, and what success is supposed to look like. Rule number 23 is resisting upgrade culture. The whole consumer economy is built to make you feel like what you already have is not enough. New phone models every year, new car models, new fashion seasons, new versions of products you already own that still work perfectly fine. Resist the upgrade cycle on purpose. Use things until they actually stop working, not until a newer version appears. Rule number 24 is the 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Before you buy anything that is not necessary and not time-sensitive, wait 24 hours. Put it in your cart and close the browser. Write it on a list and look at it tomorrow. Most impulse purchases do not survive that cooling-off period because they were never really about the item. They were about the temporary urge to buy something. Rule number 25 is calculating cost per use before purchasing. A $100 item you use twice costs $50 per use. A $300 item you use 300 times costs $1 per use. Price tags lie about real value. Cost per use tells the truth. Before any meaningful purchase, estimate honestly how many times you will actually use the item. If the cost per use looks high, think again. Rule number 26 is doing weekly subscription audits. The subscription economy is built to pull money from you continuously with almost no friction. Companies know most people sign up and forget. Schedule a weekly or monthly review of every recurring charge. Cancel anything you have not used recently or do not expect to use soon. The average American has more subscriptions than they realize and uses fewer than they think. Rule number 27 is keeping a 30-day purchase list. When you want to buy something non-essential, write it on a list with the date. If you still want it 30 days later, then consider buying it. Most things will not survive 30 days on that list because the desire was temporary. This simple system filters out most unnecessary spending without requiring constant willpower. Rule number 28 is designing your physical environment to discourage spending. Unsubscribe from retail emails. Delete shopping apps off your phone. Stay away from malls and shopping centers. Do not browse online stores for entertainment. Remove saved credit cards from websites. Every bit of friction you add between yourself and a purchase lowers the odds of buying impulsively. Make buying slightly harder, and you will naturally buy less. Rule number 29 is doing an annual energy audit on your finances. Review your bank and credit card statements from the past year. Categorize every expense. Calculate what percentage went toward housing, transportation, food, entertainment, and everything else. Compare that to what you think should be going to each category. The gap between reality and intention shows you where your money is actually going versus where you want it to go. Rule number 30 is applying the time equals money calculation to every purchase. Figure out your real hourly wage after taxes, commuting costs, work expenses, and decompression time. Then price every purchase in hours of life energy instead of dollars. That $200 item costs however many hours of your life it takes to earn $200 after all expenses. This reframing makes the true cost feel real in your gut. Rule number 31 is the one in, one out rule for possessions. Every time something new comes into your house, something old has to leave. That keeps equilibrium and forces you to ask whether the new item is actually better than something you already own. If you cannot point to anything to remove, maybe you do not need the new thing. Rule number 32 is taking it further with the 1 in, 2 out rule. If you are actively trying to reduce your possessions, for every item you bring in, 2 items leave. This creates negative accumulation over time and forces even more intentional buying decisions. Rule number 33 is embracing boredom as productive time. The urge to fill every moment with stimulation leads to spending money on entertainment, food, experiences, and distractions. Boredom is not something you need to run from. It is space for creativity, reflection, and planning. Once you learn to be comfortable with nothing happening, you stop spending money trying to make something happen. Rule number 34 is building clear boundaries between work and personal life. When work spills into every hour, you are more likely to spend money on convenience, stress relief, and rewards just to cope with the chaos. Clear work boundaries create mental space that reduces compensatory spending and leads to better money decisions. Rule number 35 is doing regular digital decluttering sessions. Your digital life affects your physical spending. Organize files, clean your desktop, delete unused apps, unsubscribe from emails, empty your downloads folder. Digital chaos creates mental chaos, and mental chaos leads to bad financial choices. Rule number 36 is turning off almost all notifications. Every notification is an interruption designed by somebody else to capture your attention. Most of those attention grabs eventually lead to spending opportunities, either directly through ads and offers, or indirectly through the stress and distraction they create. Turn off everything except real emergencies from people who truly matter. Rule number 37 is using the 2-minute rule for small tasks. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. That prevents tiny tasks from piling up and creating mental overhead and stress. Stressed people spend more money. Lowering background stress lowers spending. Rule number 38 is ignoring minimalist gatekeeping around item counts. Some people say you are only a real minimalist if you own fewer than 100 items, or 50 items, or whatever random number they made up. Ignore that completely. Minimalism is not about hitting a specific count. It is about removing what does not add value so you can appreciate what does. Focus on function, not style points. Rule number 39 is the 90-90 rule for decluttering choices. If you have not used something in the last 90 days, and do not expect to use it in the next 90 days, you can usually remove it from your life safely. It gives you a clear framework that works for most possessions. Rule number 40 is choosing quality over quantity on purpose. Buying one excellent item that lasts 10 years is almost always cheaper than buying 5 mediocre items that each last 2 years. The upfront cost is higher, but the total cost over time is lower. This applies to clothes, appliances, furniture, tools, and almost everything else. Buy less, buy better. Rule number 41 is keeping a capsule wardrobe. Limit yourself to a small collection of versatile, high-quality clothing that all works together. This solves the nothing to wear problem, even when closets are full, reduces decision fatigue every morning, and dramatically lowers clothing spending over time. Rule number 42 is meal planning as a financial strategy. Decide what you are going to eat for the week before you go grocery shopping, and buy only what you need for those meals. This cuts food waste, reduces impulse purchases at the store, and eliminates the expensive fallback of ordering delivery because you do not know what to make. Rule number 43 is spotting lifestyle creep and fighting it aggressively. As income rises, spending usually rises automatically to match it. That is why high earners often have little savings. They are just spending at a higher level. Deliberately keep your lifestyle below your income by raising your savings rate whenever your income goes up. Lifestyle creep is the enemy of wealth building. Rule number 44 is saving windfalls completely. When unexpected money shows up, tax refunds, bonuses, gifts, inheritance, save or invest 100% of it. That money was never part of your normal budget, so you will not miss spending it. Saving windfalls is one of the fastest ways to build wealth because it is basically painless. Rule number 45 is understanding that comparison is the thief of financial joy. Other people's spending has nothing to do with your financial reality. Their income, expenses, goals, and limitations are different from yours. Comparing your financial progress to other people leads either to complacency if you seem ahead, or despair if you seem behind. Focus only on whether you are making progress compared to your own past self. Rule number 46 is tracking net worth monthly, not income. Income is a vanity metric. Net worth, assets minus liabilities, is the metric that actually measures wealth. Someone earning $60,000 who invests consistently will eventually be wealthier than someone earning $200,000 who spends everything. Track what matters. Rule number 47 is calculating the true cost of ownership for major purchases. A car does not cost its sticker price. It costs the sticker price plus insurance, gas, maintenance, parking, registration, depreciation, and the opportunity cost of the invested capital. A house does not cost the purchase price. It costs the purchase price plus interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, and furnishing. Always calculate the full cost of ownership, not just the upfront price. Rule number 48 is treating your health like your highest return investment. Medical expenses bankrupt more Americans than any other cause. Preventive health, exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress management cost relatively little, but they dramatically reduce lifetime healthcare costs. Every dollar invested in staying healthy produces returns far beyond almost any financial investment. Rule number 49 is being selfish about protecting your financial foundation. You cannot help other people effectively from a position of financial weakness. Build your own stability first, then expand your generosity. On an airplane, you put on your own oxygen mask before helping someone else. The same principle applies to money. Rule number 50 is remembering that minimalism is ultimately about freedom, not restriction. Every dollar you do not spend on stuff you do not need is a dollar that buys freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from financial stress, freedom to leave jobs you hate, freedom to take chances on opportunities you love, freedom to help people who need it, freedom to live by your own values instead of the consumption pattern society pushes onto you. These 50 rules represent years of refinement and thousands of small experiments in my own life. Some of them will connect with you immediately. Others may feel extreme or unnecessary for your situation. The point is not to follow all 50 rigidly. The point is to find the principles that fit your circumstances and apply them consistently over time. Wealth is not built through one dramatic move. It is built through thousands of small decisions, made just a little better than average, compounded across years and decades. Every time you pause before buying, resist an upgrade, choose an experience over more stuff, or question whether something actually adds value to your life, you are casting another vote for financial freedom. The person you become 5 years from now will be shaped largely by the habits you build today. The rules that seem tiny and unimportant in the moment are exactly the rules that produce massive outcomes over time. Start with one rule. Master it until it becomes automatic. Then add another. Then another. Compounding applies to habits the same way it applies to money. Small changes, repeated consistently, create results that look like magic from the outside, but are really just math. You do not need to reinvent your whole life this week. You just need to begin. Pick one rule. Start today.